checking in with a project update, and it's been quite an intense past week. This particular funding campaign has been open for a couple of years, and the intention and the project, the concept, the ethos, nothing about that has changed. However, a project that is super close to my heart and really has a lot of emotional weight to it. I started this funding campaign, I got some donations, and then I was not making regular updates because personal life circumstances kind of happened. And I have just been working on another funding campaign related to business ventures stuff, and it was in the process of logging back on to my account that I realised that the campaign was not active anymore because I had basically not been including updates, and things had been really quiet on my end. So I had to go back into my account, I had to reactivate it, and literally as soon as I reactivated it, I received another donation for this project. So I just want to acknowledge that, and also it feels very connected energetically to this idea of, if my energy is not open and willing and ready to receive, that is going to be reflected in the infrastructure or, whatever channel I happen to be using to request support from. So that kind of re-announced itself as a priority in my my workload. And at the moment things are quite busy because I've got various projects on related to business development. I've started learning again. I'm back undertaking a course as well. But yeah, this update is also to check in regards to like wider project outcomes, and also with a bit of a reference point and reality check around the extent of funding that's required in order to make a project like an album release happen. So this week has been a real I don't want to say trial by fire, but it's been a really interesting period of time because there was the announcement from Creative Scotland just prior to this week around the decision to close the open fund for individuals to new applications. So they set the deadline for that as today. So it closed today, the 30th of August at 2 p.m. And I had started a funding application for this specific fund in conjunction with when I decided to open the crowdfunding campaign for this project. And I had got reasonably far with it, really clear concept, everything about the story, the narrative, the inspiration, why, what the album's about, that all felt clear. That has all been really quite clear from the start, having that kind of creative vision, but then bringing it together in a kind of organised, structured fashion to present it as a tangible funding proposal to send to a body that actually gets public money to fund creative projects, that was where the kind of confidence crisis and it really activated a lot of stuff in me in terms of, oh, these are areas that I need to heal around my kind of money story, my personal beliefs about worth and value. It was really forcing me to look at all of these things because, you know, you need to lay everything out and be clear in the communication and also present a narrative with your request, specifically around, you know, how are you going to use this money? What are you going to do with it? What are the outcomes of this project going to be? So although I could address those questions on a kind of an intellectual level, the emotional aspects of that were challenging in and of themselves, but additionally, my personal life experiences and various kind of parallel processes around healing related to trauma work, etc., were also unfolding, and I definitely hit a wall for sure with that application where I suddenly felt I can't do this. I can't like which is a kind of paradox. It's like knowing that you have all of the tools, the knowledge, the skills, the resources, the passion, the desire, the need, the real creative need to actually birth something and to, yeah, release it into the world and to bring like a process to culmination. But then also because of like personal, wherever I was at on a kind of personal healing journey point of view, it was very much like, I don't feel safe to progress with this. I don't feel safe to move forward. So doing anything that is new or unfamiliar or requires new skills is not supposed to be comfortable. But when you are simultaneously dealing with kind of trauma related issues, what might normally feel like a little bit uncomfortable or a little bit stressful can be excruciating. And I think that was really my experience, was this is excruciating and this is creating overwhelm. And I came to know this feeling as terminal ambivalence, which is a term that I've since come across in relation to trauma work. So this idea that it's not procrastination, it's like I actually don't feel safe enough to take the next step. So yeah, that's definitely what I would have described this period as, was like reaching like an internal barrier and then feeling like I don't have the capacity or the resource within me right now to be able to move past this block. So that's a little bit of the backstory as to, yeah, I guess the rate of traction of this project, because in reality, a lot of the creative work from this, although there's been preparatory creative practice that's just been ongoing and developing over time, it's also a culmination of the research project and vocal journey in Mongolia that I undertook in 2019. So really bringing strands of that into this particular creative project. So yeah, that feels like a long time ago. That's like prior to COVID. So yeah, definitely COVID was a factor in kind of slowing traction down in some ways, but I didn't actually put this campaign out there, until after that time, because that felt like that was then the appropriate window to move into a direction related to like the creative expression, whereas the kind of immediate consolidation period that almost was presented to me as like a non-negotiable when I came back, and then were all under lockdown restrictions, was basically working out the kind of methodological processes and things related to the vocal development journey, which are all elements that I've been since translating into my business, how I deliver holistic voice work, and what is now the next evolution of 5 elements of voice work, which is the material from which I'm delivering and teaching. So it's a funny kind of way that all of these what seem like side quests, they all do merge together and find their way back to the main trail. And the most challenging element of kind of holding the duality of what has felt like very clear logical progression with like business development, and then kind of almost like a withholding on the creative practice, creative expression, and like artistic identity. That aspect has almost been kind of saying like, what about me? Like, I don't put out this candle, because I feel like I'm like going to be extinguished if I don't have the space to express what needs to be expressed. But yeah, so to bring that thought thread to some conclusion, that's been a kind of task and a body of work ongoing, which has been very like demanding on resources. But as I said, the announcement around this fund kind of presented me with a choice, I think, where it was like, are you going to feel more uncomfortable with the idea of having applied for something and then potentially not getting funding, but you tried your best and you did it and you put yourself out there and stepped out of your comfort zone? Or are you going to feel more uncomfortable with the idea that you didn't even try and that opportunity passed you by? So I think that was a real crux point for me in terms of I'm pretty sure I've done a lot of work on that application, and like I'm pretty clear on what the project is, and is it unreasonable for me to think that I can actually focus my energy over the next few days and get this together and like make a go of it? So that's exactly what's happened, and that was not an entirely solo endeavor either. I reached out for support, and I was quite engaged over the past week with various people drafting in assistance for proofreads and having lots of helpful conversations and a bit of consultation. And a lot of that input actually was not so much around like the content of what was going into the application, because that was all done. It was actually a bit of mentorship and a bit of key support around what I felt I needed to aid my confidence around actually completing it and actually submitting it. And so that's been amazing, and I'm really grateful to everyone that I've been chatting to over this last week. And I think it just pays to mention that here, because yes, in terms of the overall like project concept, it was always a plan and an intention to apply for funding, because I knew I would need to supplement anything that I got through a crowdfunding approach, just to make it more sustainable, and also to try and scale it to a level that felt like, it's a lot of work to curate and arrange and bring everything together, and also draft in assistance for elements that maybe your skill set can't entirely support. So it's like, okay, let's if we're gonna do this and we're gonna spend all the time doing this, like, let's do it properly. So yeah, this is a very long-winded way for me to kind of re-inject some energy into an explanation about where this project is currently at and what other avenues of support that I am exploring in order to try and bring this to a reality. So that's the Creative Scotland Open Fund for Individuals, possibly the last round ever, which has just been submitted for. Within that application, there was a portion of that overall budget that was assigned to unconfirmed support from help musicians. So there's a next level fund, and I believe the next round for that is between the middle of September and October of this year. So I've written that in an application now, so that's kind of like I've written myself into a commitment of applying for that funding as well. And I don't think that's going to be an easy process, but I also acknowledge that because I kind of broken the back with this one, I want to keep up the momentum. Hopefully I've got a solid template there which I can make reference to, and that's partly it. It's like having then something to work from, and also a clearer understanding of what the expectations are and how to actually word these things. So by no means am I feeling absolutely confident that like I am an excellent funding application writer. I think I've got a long way to go to get to that point, but certainly by not engaging with that and not doing that, I'm not going to gain the confidence, and I'm not going to improve my skills in that area. So I just wanted to share the update around that element of it, just also for accountability. It'd be interesting for me to look back on this reflection at a later date, and just to see where things have moved on to. And also other thoughts, just to also make that not an apology for not being regular on the updates, because life does happen, but I know that when I'm going through challenging personal stuff, my first port of call is usually to withdraw. So I definitely feel that I'm coming out of the other side of what has been an incredibly challenging period, and that is the energy that has been withheld in a sort of waiting room kind of space is now like available to me, and it's looking for outlets and it's looking for channels to express itself. And of course, that period hasn't been without learning and without integrating some like hugely valuable life lessons. So it's not been without its challenges, but there's some alchemy there to to report happily. So I really am hoping that I can continue to support the development of infrastructure around this project development, really, so that things can continue and that they can be brought to a resolution and a realization, because that will feel really satisfying, like finishing finishing something, when you've been involved in every stage of the process, always feels really satisfying. But at this point, I think acknowledging the reality of timeline shifts and also alignment as being something that is pretty key in ensuring that all the different ingredients are there at the right point in order to move things on to the next stage. I think I have a much more pragmatic approach to that now, that's like, you know, acknowledging that there are just different factors that play into that, and actually it is the process of the journey where the reward is. So although focusing on the end goal and the end product and the shiny artifact is the kind of North Star that keeps you going, it's actually about embracing where the journey takes you and where it unfolds. So I just wanted to air those things, and to also use that as an opportunity just to touch on what's been going on this week in regards to the public funding scenario, which I'm sure most folk are aware of, but if you're not, I'd encourage you to have a look through Creative Scotland, through SMIA, have a look at some of the signatories and organisations that are coming out and raising their concerns about the status of funding and culture and arts in Scotland at the moment. It's a challenging time, but also I'm grateful for this week because it pushed me out of an uncomfortable place, and I think I'll come out stronger for having done this, irrespective of whether that funding comes through in the case of that application or not. So that's just a wee update from me, and wishing everybody a good weekend, and hope to be updating you on this project again soon, and including all the links there if you feel that you would like to support in any way, shape or form. Let me know, and it would be great to hear from you.